Welcome to Art Talk with April. This is season 5. We've got some great artists on this season and some gallery professionals. So let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art Talk with April. Today we have amazing Eris Klein. I'm so excited to talk to her. She is an artist, an illustrator, and an educator. And we've come across each other online, right? On Instagram, I think.
Yeah.
And we have chatted with each other and asked each other questions and all of these things. And I think it was last year I was like, Eris, do you want to talk to me? And you were like, I don't know.
Well, it was during a really hectic, strange period. So I was like, I probably wouldn't be at my best during that time.
Yeah, I get it. And I've had so many artists that were like, maybe next year, maybe in a couple of months. I'm in Alabama. Eris is in Colorado. Yeah, it's just so beautiful. I can't imagine living in Colorado.
Yeah, that is pretty.
Tell me, Eris, how did you get started in art? Is this something that you started when you were a child, or did you pick it up later? How did you become so creative?
I was born with a paintbrush.
I love it. Yes.
That doesn't make anybody mad. I think you're all born creative, but somehow early on, that gets stomped out. But I think I was fortunate that I just, retained that creativity of childhood. I was creative as a kid I viewed art and creativity more as a way of being in the world and a way of seeing, opposed to something separate from myself. I always said if I was like a cake and you cut me open, it would just be all creativity. Be like, there's only creativity here. Like sometimes no logic, but lots of creativity.
As it should be, I think. It's awesome. So did you go to school, end up going to school for some kind of art field or?
So I didn't go to school right away because my family went through a big divorce and Dad ran off with the college fund. And everybody was just a mess. Mm-hmm. So I ended up just working. And unlike my friends, though, and I had other friends that didn't go to college for various reasons. Sometimes it's money, but it was something I was kind of looking forward to. And then suddenly it was like, well, you got to be an adult now, take care of yourself, get a job, and work like millions of other people. And I think my very first year of working, I held 13 different jobs and I hated every one of them. I just kept quitting and going, this is terrible. This is what people do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to do something creative.
Yeah.
So I found an art supply store and that was awesome. So at 19, I worked in an art supply store and on lunch hours, I read every book possible on art and graphic design. And I talked to customers like, what are you doing? What's your project? I just anything I could get a hold of to learn. And so I self-learned. I actually self-taught myself graphic design because I felt like, okay, that's one way I can combine creativity and making a living because I can't make a living at these. If it doesn't have creativity, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, graphic design is a good combination of creativity and making money. And I self-taught myself graphic design, and I would do anything. Like you want a logo? Okay, yeah, I'll do your logo. Oh, you need a sign? I'll do a sign. And even if I didn't even know how to do the thing, I would quick learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I get that. Yeah.
I pretty much came out all right, except for the wood sign I took on. That one came out. That's so sad. No. But I should have not taken that job on. But then eventually I worked at print shops as a graphic designer. Mm-hmm. And it's just sort of fast and sloppy graphic design. It's not super creative. But then at 29 or 30, 30-ish, when I was getting to about 30, my brother was like, you can go to college. There's student loans. At the time, that seemed really great. So I went. Now I'm paying those back. But I don't regret it because after years of working and trying so hard to find space for creativity, going to college was like heaven. It was like I arrived. Like you're allowing me time and space to create. I was like, this is awesome. Like, what's the worst you can happen is get a bad grade. I mean, it's much worse in the real world. You just don't get to eat. You lose your job.
Yeah, really.
I felt so liberated, and I already knew graphic design, and the graphic design teachers had me teach some classes. And I'm like, okay, I really don't need to go this direction anymore. And so I decided, well, let's just dive into art. And so I took drawing and painting and mostly 2D stuff. I tried a little bit of sculpture and realized I didn't have the patience for it. And I wanted to express immediately.
Yeah.
Paint and drawing was it. I was like, and I loved figure drawing. I took lots of figure drawing. And then when I got out, I realized, here's the real world again. So I decided to become an illustrator. Mm-hmm. And that's, to me, there's this joy scale, of creativity. Like graphic design for me is down here, then illustration, and then maybe fine art. But actually, I've had incredible joy as an illustrator too. So it's hard to say what the hierarchy is there. So I just kind of kept trying to climb up that joy scale.
Yeah.
The next one was illustration. Yeah. That's a way to be creative and be paid. Yeah. And I didn't have much faith in fine art. I had done a couple of shows in coffee shops and stuff, and I was like, this is a hard route.
Yeah.
So illustration was the way. I had a lot of fun with illustration.
You have such a unique path because you've it feels like you've kind of gone through several different ways of trying to get to where you wanted to be creatively and earn a living. And I think that's one of those things that we as creatives struggle with, trying to figure out, because there are so many different routes that you could take.
Mm-hmm. And teaching's another one. That's another one that popped up for me. I was like, why don't I teach art? That would be fun.
Yeah. So did you teach in a school setting, or how did that come about?
Okay, there's many obstacles on when I got to college, I was like, oh my God, look at these art teachers. People actually get paid to go in and pontificate about art. Don't they? I was like, man, that's the life for me too. And so later I did try to go to grad school. I ended up coming out with a couple of other women and put in a complaint of sexual harassment to one of the professors. And I sort of spearheaded the thing, and then suddenly I became the bad person, and the stress and the fight, it just became this fight. And I just threw up my hands and said, I leave. You win, I leave. And afterwards, for decades, I'm like, why did I do that? You let them win. You can't. Now all I can do is I can teach community college, and generally, and I can't teach art. I can teach digital. So I was like, okay, Photoshop, Illustrator, I'll teach all those. And I tried to make them as creative as possible. And I ended up teaching way out in the sticks in different places.
Wow. I ended
up going to all kinds of places. I've worked with at-risk kids. I've worked with very high performing kids at charter schools, teaching them college level classes and Illustrator and Photoshop and so forth. And then one of the professors let me teach art, which was really great, at the high school. And then because I did go and get my art license for K through 12, but that really wasn't the path I was looking for. And then I've taught all sorts of people coming from all walks of life. And I've even taught former gang members that were turning their life around.
Yeah.
And new Somalian people. Well, just lots of different varieties of people. And I always like, gosh, why is my life such chaos? And why can't I just have that ivory tower job and sipping coffee and pontificating about art? But over time, and as I've aged, I realized embrace the path that's opened up to you. Stop looking with your head of what you think you desire, because the gifts are there and you're just not looking at them. And I realized I learned so much about my humanity and helping others. It's deepened me to not have what I thought I wanted.
Yeah.
So, and now as an artist, I just do a little bit of everything. Like I'm still that young person. Like, you want this? I'll do it. Okay. Some jobs I don't do, but I realized that as an artist, one of the things many of us have to do is we have to do a patchwork quilt of a life.
Yeah.
So a little bit of teaching, illustrating. Oh, you need a website?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do a website. Not on the highest of my joy scales.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that. Oh my goodness.
And right now I have someone commissioned me to do a real painting from one of my trees. Yeah, I actually did digitally. And then I'm like, how do I do this as a real painting? And it's really fun because I have to go, oh, okay, so I could use this way. A lot of these, like, that's not how real paint looks. And I'm like, oh, I could use a stencil. So I got out my old Cricut machine and I'm making stencils to do the leaves. I told them I'm going to make it a little more painterly because it's real paint. It's not Photoshop anymore. And I made some marble paper for the tree branch. And then I did a painterly background. And I'm like, I'm having just a lot of fun. So okay, one more patchwork quilt to go with everything else. That's not a simple life, but it definitely is a rich life. A colorful life.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you put it that way, because I feel like my experience was the same way. I do graphic design and I do illustration and I do, the arts, the traditional, and then we both do kind of a digital.
Yeah.
And it is that way. You really do just kind of have to go with your heart where things feel right, because I've had experiences like that too, where I was doing graphic design and I hated the place I was working for.
Yeah, I've worked in a cubicle with, like, you just flow text through documents.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, that's like way down and that's an unhappy scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm setting levels within graphic design, but it's like crank it out. And that kind of takes the soul away from it. Like when I did illustration, it had a lot of soul because I did it for books and magazines and authors are creators. And here I am honoring their work. So there's a sense of like, I'm using my skill to honor another creative person's work. And how beautiful is that? But when you're in like some of these graphic design jobs, it's just like, you just feel like, okay, I'm just this cog in a wheel working as hard as I can to make some big rich guys at top, rich.
Yeah.
And you don't feel that heart-centered piece of it at all.
Yeah. And a lot of times you've got to, whatever, like, you're not necessarily the person who comes up with the idea completely. And someone...
Yeah, it's all like, everything's so like segmented. And like this person does, that's the art director. They figure out the layout of the book. And I was laying out books and you can't decide even what font to use. You can't even have that much creativity. You just take directions from them and flow the text through and make it the font they said.
Yeah. And especially, being born with a paintbrush, you have got to want to do some art. You know what I mean? I'm imagining like a paintbrush hand, you're like, I've got it. What am I going to do with this?
I'm getting trouble at work. My paintbrush. I'm sorry, my paintbrush made me do that.
Oh, did I get paint on your computer? I'm sorry. Oh, it's so fun. That would make a great comic.
Oh, man. Really, there's a lot of stories. It's good to laugh about it because you do feel as an artist, I think you do finding your way in this world can be difficult. And because there's everything seems, especially in America, like so money oriented. And sometimes that really chases away creativity when people are just going for the money and using your creativity. They see you as a tool, not as this living, breathing, amazing gift that has things to offer, so you're just become a machine part for that breed.
Yeah. And see, okay,
I know we all have to live. It's true.
I don't mean to go off into a tangent here, but when you talk about that gives me so many feelings around the generative AI thing.
Oh my gosh! Oh, it was one of those. Bring that up.
Yeah. It's like
big.
I think the business, like the corporate, the business side, the technology side, they haven't ever truly recognized the creative side as being as important. Like it's almost replaceable, or it's, and then for them to be able to do, like a business person who considers themselves not creative, to be able to go in and make something, and they feel like it's like magical to do these things. It's like suddenly I'm able to just like put in the sentence and get what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that they've never really valued it like the creative people have always valued it. I don't know. But how do you feel about that? Like, what are you seeing out there with that?
I think there's needs to be a lot of discussions and thought about it, because it's on us like a tsunami. And it's just like where did this, 10,000 foot wave come from?
Yeah.
And it's slamming on us. It's on us now. And we haven't fully figured out the ramifications of it. But as an artist, I first got really angry because I've spent my entire life honing my craft, being very close to the process of creativity and the spiritual value that it adds to my life. And then I had just finished actually this angel painting that you see here. And that took me almost a year to do. And it's probably about 3/4 digital painting. But I carefully painted every feather. I really thought it out. It came from a deep place within me that I wanted to express, of a sense of this sort of etheric feeling that I've had since I was a kid, of a place of peace and love and just enlightenment. And I wanted to express that. And I know it looks like maybe a Valkyrie, but this person has nothing to do with war. Sorry, it's not a Valkyrie. It's an angel.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, boom, it was like the summer, like last summer or something. I can't remember when it was. It was just like, boom, Etsy was flooded with AI. And suddenly people could do images like this by just saying a couple words, pushing a button, bang. And many were bragging about look at how creative I am. I can say a word and bang. And I was like, wow, like I was angry. I was like really angry. And then I had some of my more sort of spiritual new agey friends saying, a few of them, not all of them, but someone saying, this is a spiritual revolution that's going to release us so we can find our spirituality. And I'm like, what does AI have to do with your spirituality? I'm sorry. Like people are going nuts. People are having all kinds of different attitudes towards it. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, slow down. Like This is not the revolution. What, like this is a tsunami, and we got to figure out what it is and what it means to our life, because I spent my whole life learning these skills, and now anybody can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, to me, that robs people of the process of creativity and focuses them more on the outward results, which to me was always the secondary process of what creativity really is.
Yeah.
To me, creativity is this internal connection to something deeper and more expansive that I'm like a little part of, and it's the universal language. It's the whole universe. It is like creativity. And nature is creativity. And it's the deep spiritual universal song coming out of us when we create. But if you're just pushing a button and go on, and I suppose the joy of them, they're learning art appreciation, maybe. Like, wow, look at that. Like, my mind could never have figured something like that out before, and they're like, that's really cool. So maybe that's stimulating them that way. But I wonder if it isn't just stimulating them like TV. I mean, you're a passive watcher of the creativity. You're not engaging in it. You're not actively participating. And to me, when you're actively participating in creativity, I mean, just neurologically, neurons are snapping, you're making connections, you're developing your ability to think, to imagine. You're not a passive watcher of creativity. You are developing it up in here and expanding yourself. So I kind of wonder if AI isn't going to make some people lazy. It has hurt me as an illustrator. Why hire somebody who labors over a work of art, when somebody with no creativity whatsoever can push a button and make it themselves, So it's robbed me of that. I found my illustration jobs just going way down. There's a few people that still respect real illustrators.
Well, as you probably are, I'm, a part of several illustrator groups, and the quality is definitely not there. And then imagine if let's say the person who's paying for it or the person who is getting the work done by an AI artist or trying to do it themselves, how much are they going to be able to edit it and get it to where they want it to? Because currently, if you're doing something like that in Photoshop and you're using the mask tool and you're generating a new something in Photoshop.
Right. Yeah, you're still composing. I mean,
so as a graphic designer, I have been in the situation where I have had to use generative AI because they wanted me to. That was part of what they thought. We need to look like we're, thinking about the future, using the newest tools, that kind of thing. So we want you to use generative AI.
Interesting.
And really interesting. Then when I was doing an infographic with generative AI in Photoshop, they wanted me to change what the person was holding in the image.
Okay.
Originally, the image had a coffee cup, and they wanted me to change it to a smartphone. And then they had some digital tool in their other hand. And so I'm spending hours, Eris, generating new hands.
Oh,
new hands.
Wow.
New hands. And I'm getting these grotesque.
Right. Yeah, I did go ahead and dive into AI because I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to experience it and understand it. So yeah, I bet it would give weird eyes and hands with 6 fingers that are melding into the object that it's old.
Yes.
And for some people, they don't even notice that because their art sensitivity is so not there that they're like, that looks great. And I'm like, yeah, but they have like 6 fingers and it's melding it into the cup. I mean,
I know. It's like, do you not see what I see? Like there are 8 fingers, and that doesn't quite look like what a human hand looks like, or a phone, or I mean,
yeah.
it's almost like, are you so excited about this technology that you're just blinded by it?
What's been the case for like as long as I can remember is that if something's like new technology, then they feel they have to do it. It's like, that's what the new kids are doing. So we have to do it. There's not a question of it. It's like this runaway train running by desperation, money. We got to go, 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 go.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I don't know.
I'm really hopeful that similar to like, I feel like artisanship, craftsmanship is still something we highly appreciate.
I think so. And I think that's what I decided was my new direction is that, okay, I have no control over AI. It's going to take over the world, whether I rail against it or not. And people are going to decide how it fits in their life. But people are still going to need to be creative.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's our inherent nature. I mean, every little animal and plant out in nature is compelled by that force within us to create. And whether it's, procreating with our bodies, which are amazing, amazing things in themselves, or creating images or creating new things that help our lives be easier, whatever. I know AI was created out of creativity, but hopefully we have some ethics built in with our creativity. Otherwise, we're building bombs, right?
I'm really hopeful. I am. I don't mind it being there as long as we're considerate humanity. I don't know.
Yeah.
And what it means to be human. And I feel like creativity is a huge part of that. That feeling of being creative is something we all have it. And it adds to our lives in such beautiful ways. It's the things that makes life beautiful and enjoyable to me. And so,
and it makes everything that we have, a house, light bulbs.
Yeah.
I mean, all of those come from creative thought.
Yeah.
And I don't know, a culture without the ability to think creative, I think, starts to fall in disarray. I think.
I imagine like all these gray people wearing gray clothes and
with video. Yeah. Now I imagine them like that, but with the video.
Yeah, the VR
just like
glasses.
Look what I did today.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. The AI did. I ran a marathon. No, you didn't. AI did.
Oh, that's so
Take
fun.
thing off and get back into your body.
Yeah.
Use your hands, use your mind. If you don't have hands, use your feet. If you don't have those, then I don't know. I think of that old song. I can't remember his name. Cat Stevens, if I lose my eyes, for instance, I'll still be able to do these. You'll still be able to do something with you, not AI. With you.
It's a big issue right now. Absolutely. And I think, this season on the podcast, I'm going to be talking a lot about it with other people.
Good for you.
Because I feel like
it is huge.
We all have our experiences of what we've seen and what we've tried or not tried. And I am on Kara and the new app Kara, which is...
I saw you say something about that. Yeah, I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, I found out about that through other artists. And so far, they've gotten over 300,000 artists have moved to Kara through this past weekend. They protect artists.
That's great.
they are not building in an algorithm. So you're not going to have to like try to figure that out. It's kind of what's posted is posted when it's posted. And it just, like a real feed, it would just be, whatever was the latest would be the thing that you saw,
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I definitely feel a victim of the algorithms. I'm like, sorry, I can't spend 1 million hours on Instagram to try to get like more followers.
God, yeah. It's like a whole other, it's a whole nother, you have to be your own production, graphic designer, videographer, what I'm just like, we are all creative people, and we do have a tendency to be able to take creativity in whatever form
That's a good point. Yeah.
But at some point, we can't do it all. And
we're not being compensated for it. It's like, if you were to tell me, like, I don't know, 20 years ago, you're going to have to, I finally learned, I'm the first person to learn Photoshop in my university. Yeah. And then I'd be told, oh, well, just wait. You're going to have to know Photoshop and Illustrator and this program and that program. And then you're going to have to become a web designer as well as a graphic designer, a web designer, and an illustrator, and a videographer, and also know how to deal with how to do sound, audio, and it's just like, when do I get to sit on my laurels and drink my cup of tea and pontificate about art? When do I learn my craft and I become the master and I send my wonderful artistic wisdom to others? I mean, I'm on this rat race.
Oh my gosh, isn't that the truth? Oh my goodness. It's like we're all these little puppets that are being like made to do all the things to run these social media platforms. And that's another thing about Kara is that a lot of the artists are moving over there because they aren't supporting Instagram and Facebook anymore. Meta is put out an announcement that they're, particularly in the Western hemisphere, that they have the right to take your art or train your image.
Oh, train AI on your art. Oh, no. You're kidding me.
No.
Oh, it makes me want to take down all my stuff.
I know.
And like stuff like this comes from my heart.
Yeah.
It's like, what right do you have to take from my heart?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry.
They are requesting people to tag their art as AI, if it's AI, or their image or their video.
But it's optional. It's like some people aren't doing it.
But people have to actually choose to do that and be transparent about that. And then
good luck with that.
So, and then pretty much anything that's been on their platforms, they've written it into their guidelines or whatever, that it's essentially free range. Like you've put this on here, so now we can have it. And so all the artists are not using,
it's just, we get thrown into it and told we have to do it in order to succeed. And so we do it because we want to keep doing what we love. So we get pulled into these things.
I really hope that things will change, and it makes me so sad to think about how beautiful and amazing your artwork is, and people aren't seeing it. Like how do we get seen through these algorithms that are being built based on, if you're playing the game of doing all the things and ticking all the boxes, and it just seems incredibly unfair.
Yeah. There's a lot of unfairness.
Yeah.
And I just like, I'm not even, when I hear that there's like, people who are billionaires and they want more money, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like after you have like 5 yachts and 50 homes all across the world, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, you've lost your soul.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that are hurting all around the world. And we have the capacity to help them. And people like that have a great capacity.
Oh, sure.
And us in our little tiny rowboats with holes, we keep paddling every day. We even can extend our hand. So why can't a billionaire? I was like, God, it's just disgusting.
I want to ask you about your vision for your art and the types of art that you make, and what is your sort of, I guess, your style, or how did you come about this sort of digital / traditional way of working?
I think it's because I'm not afraid of new tools. And then so I know a lot of all the traditional tools, and then I just keep acquiring, look at, I can use Photoshop as a collage tool for my traditional stuff. I can scan stuff in and start collaging stuff. And then, look, I can paint. Ooh, cool. I can paint with digital paint. So I add digital paint. And so I just use all the tools that are available. Now, why don't I use AI? Actually, occasionally I have, just like you, like, take the coffee cup out of that person's hand.
Yeah.
But I see it, I'm really leery of it. And so I really, for my own art, I'm just decided I'm not going to use any AI in it. That's it. Because I want that. When I create a piece of work, whether it's on Photoshop, whether it's real materials, like this is UFO paper, then it came from me. The person can know it came from me, and I can know that it came from me. But creating for me is this whole mind-body process. And it doesn't matter what the tool is, as long as I'm somewhere involved in it, in the decision-making and the colors and the using my mind and using my hands. So the tools are fine. I mean, most recently, I've been really excited with Procreate. And I was really excited by Adobe Fresco. I love it for drawing. Its drawing tools are just wonderful. Adobe Fresco melds better, whereas it melds colors and stuff actually mixed together and things mixed together, whereas Procreate, it fakes it with transparency, and so it doesn't flow as well like real materials. But I've grown to love Procreate because it's so dang user-friendly.
I started using Procreate, and then I moved to Adobe because I was already using Adobe products, obviously, and I let my kids use it. I don't have any problem with them being able to do that. I feel like they would get so frustrated with Fresco, with all the buttons and icons.
Like, Procreate makes it so straightforward.
Yeah. It's easy to get started in, and everything's there. It has all the same sort of, you got your layers and all that kind of thing. You can do the animation if you wanted to. I mean, that's in there. And I think fantastic tool.
Imagine the creators of Procreate as like these really open-hearted people. I don't know. But I mean, because if you read their guidelines, they're like, you can create your own brushes and make a living off of those. And we encourage you, just don't steal our brushes, but, there's so much more support in artists making a living off of their tool, because I've been able to make some sets of brushes and then I could teach Procreate lessons to others.
Well, Eris, let's talk about your new courses that you have with Procreate. Yeah. How did you get started doing that, and how did that come about?
Well, always loving to explore new tools that facilitate my creativity. Procreate came along, and I was like, wow, this thing is really fun, and joyful. So I decided I'm a teacher, and I've taught art and technology, so I'll make some classes. And I've taught for Ivy Newport before using traditional materials like watercolor and pastels and so forth. And I was like, Ivy, would you like to do like a Procreate class? And she's like, yeah, because my students have been asking for that. I'm like, let's do it. And I like so I have a new course. It's called Drawing with Procreate. It's on Ivy Newport, ivynewport.com. You can also go to my website. Should I promote myself?
Yes.
ErisKlein.com, and you can see courses there. And eventually I want to start making some of my own courses and more brushes for people.
Absolutely.
That they can use. But back to Ivy, I'm so happy to be on her site because what I love about her site is like a lot of the Procreate lessons I see are more, they're sort of a cute, like sort of a cutesy. It's not, I love it, but I've wanted, I think coming from traditional art, I've wanted some more sort of a traditional feel and some more like deep art-centered stuff that's coming out. Mm-hmm. And Ivy's is a perfect platform for that for me. And she encouraged me to, dig into my traditional, drawing roots and connect with those people who love real materials and show them how you can draw and have a similar experience with Procreate. And I think it really elevated the lessons to sort of a little bit more, I don't know, just more, not so cutesy, but more fine art like.
I haven't purchased the course, but I am certainly considering it. And I noticed in the advertisement that I just happened to come across, and I was appreciating it, and I was like, that was really great. I might want to buy that. And then I'm looking at it, and I thought, that's Eris. Oh, no. I've got to tell her. Like, they're advertising that to me.
Thank you so much.
I was like, what a coincidence. Holy cow. And so what I saw, what interested me was that it looked more in depth, and you were really going into, like the pressure of your stylus and mixing color and those kinds of things.
Skill building, definitely using skills.
Yes.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah, teaching skills. And one of the things I noticed with a lot of new Procreate users, there's so many people that love Procreate, but they don't have any artist skills. And they're like trying to draw and paint with this program, but they don't have any sense of like where light and shadow is or how to shade and so I thought, well, they just need to learn some good old traditional art skills, and that will elevate their Procreate work.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think it's a tool that will really bring together the traditional and digital, as far as like it being like I could see, like I have a lot of traditional art friends, and they're a little hesitant on digital. They know it's there. They're a little curious, but they're like, it probably doesn't appeal as much because it doesn't seem traditional enough. Like it doesn't have that fine art feel to it, especially when you see people, I guess, popping out these very, like you said, simplified sort of cartoon, cute.
Yeah, they're kind of cartoony.
Like formula, almost like you do this formula, this color, and this color, and this shape, and use this brush and this brush, and wham, you've got art. But it doesn't really teach you anything. So I feel like your course is especially good for actual artists, like traditional artists who are like, oh, I might want to try that out. Even if just to play around with like trying different colors, experimenting like with a sketch and try, like testing things out. But then I imagine learning from you that they will build upon that and really enjoy it, and it will become something that's I guess something that has a little bit more interest to them instead of it just being like,
that's what I wanted to also bridge the gap between the traditional artist and that has been a kind of like digital artist, not art. And I mean, their attitude is like how I feel about AI right now.
It's funny how that is. Yeah.
And I felt guilty about being a digital as well as a traditional artist. I've felt guilty for so long by being shamed by my traditional artist friends for it. But now with AI out, I'm like, okay, no, you don't get it. With these painting programs, you are still using your hands.
Yeah.
You still have to know light and shadow. You still have to know drawing. You still need to compose.
Mm-hmm.
You're still building those neurons up here. You're not a passive watcher like AI. It's totally different. So I wanted to bring that in because you're right. A lot of the lessons I took a number of lessons with Procreate just to see what other people were teaching. And it is very formulaic. It's like you're catering to people that just want to do step 1, step 2, step 3, and poof, they have a piece of work, but they don't understand anything about how to compose or draw or create something for themselves. They didn't really build it. They don't realize they didn't build very many skills. So, but this is just the beginning. Even this one, I'm like, there's so much more I can teach.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, so I'm looking forward to doing more. And I've been talking about it.
Yeah, I'm
not supposed to say anything yet, but there might be some more things coming down the pipe.
I think the two of us, we have a lot in common, and we're both concerned about similar things, and we both are trying to figure it out, and
it's a constant changing landscape as an artist, especially with technology. It's just a constant changing landscape, and it's not easy. I don't know. Maybe Instagram makes it appear that it's really easy for some artists, but it really is. You have to do a patchwork life of many different things. You have to constantly be shifting and changing with the new technologies and the needs and desires of other people. And I think the key thing is, one of the questions that you posed was, what would I tell a young artist? And I would say, regardless of what's going on with technology and the world outside of you and social media and all that stuff, just get away from it sometimes and get to the core to what creativity means to you, because that's the true value. Whether you make it rich or don't make it rich, there's no promises. Get over that and know that creativity is your heart song. Get back to that heart and hold on to that. That will carry, for me at least, I know that creativity has carried me through some of the darkest parts of my life. If I could write or do a little dance or look a leaf and the beautiful shadows in the trees, those things, that's heart-centered stuff, and that will be a fine little light throughout your life. And remember that's what really creativity is. And the rest is all just trying to figure out how we can fit it into this crazy world.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay.
But pull away once in a while and get back to the heart. It's the heart where it's at.
I mean, it's as simple as pencil and paper. I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. And anyone can do it. It's not, only some people have that beautiful, amazing magic or whatever. It's something that's literally, we all have it. We all have it.
Right.
Whether we stop to do it, is the question, I think.
Yeah. And creativity will feed into your life in so many other ways. I mean,
it's healing. It's healing. I mean, it just, it's a way to get out, your feelings, your thoughts, and, and it can be so add back to your life, because when you're experimenting with things and you find something that works, it's so gratifying to feel that I figured it out. I did it, and it's like, yes,
that reminds me of, I was thinking about creativity the other day. I was like, a creative person can take something and transform it. So, like, I was thinking of this lesson of just teaching people basic objects, but then I was turning the objects into all kinds of crazy things, like, like a cone into a magical hat and a ball into a planet. And I was like, that's the magic of creativity, is you can take something ordinary and transform it into something extraordinary.
Yeah.
And you can do that in your life, So it's creativity is magic.
Absolutely. I mean, I think when we say magic, it's not necessarily like, it's not simple, but it's that, well, it's so hard to get it across, but it's like this life force that it like gives you energy, it gives you happiness and joy. And
you'll live longer if you have joy.
Yeah. It's like,
so it has health benefits.
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing thing to.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not like it just happens like that.
Yeah. It's not
imagine under something. You have to do the work for it.
Yeah.
But like you said, you make something and you go, I made that. Like, that's an incredible feeling. It's like such an affirmation of your power to change your something, or to even just change something in your life. That you don't like. You're empowered. And it does take work.
Yeah.
But hey,
everything does. Yeah, everything does. My God.
Everything takes work. Doing dishes takes work.
That's what I was just thinking. Laundry.
I'd rather draw.
I've got my pile of laundry in there. I need a robot to go in there and fold clothes, like.
Why did they have AI do stuff like that? Why did they take creativity away from us? Why not have them?
That's such a
like that?
It's the essence of life, and being a human is being able to be creative. Don't take the good part. Like, don't take the icing off the cake. Like you want the good part. Take the boring stuff, the stuff that we all complain about.
I know.
Like, whether you are, Mr. Millionaire or, barely scraping by, we all hate dishes. Let's do something about it.
Have AI do something practical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeez. Right.
How can people find you, get in touch with you, and see your work and find your courses and brushes? Where can we find you?
At www.erisklein.com. So that's ERISKLEIN.com.
Yeah.
They have an Etsy shop, but you can get to it through my website.
Yeah, sure. So. That's send everybody to your website, because I think we get too comfortable sending people to our social media, and we need to send them to where we really, we have the say in what's there,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to me. And I love your work. I love what you're doing. I think you've really, you expanded upon what you were doing, and now you've got your courses and things, and planning to grow on that is so exciting.
Yeah, well, thank you for interviewing me. Thank you for being supportive of my work. And I also love your work as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think you do some great stuff.
I appreciate it. Yeah. I hope that we can, give people the inspiration to keep going, keep trying, to not give up, and to, try new things. I think that that's really important.
Yeah, just keep trying, and keep, make that joy scale. And if it doesn't feel joyful, maybe you're going the wrong direction.
Try a different option. Because, oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Eris.